Okay, what I want to show here is just a very quick demo of how to do a split screen effect, um, showing what effects you've done on something. This is for when you're handing in your projects, and one of the files you have to hand in will be a version showing um, what all the effects are that you did on that project. So very quickly, I'm going to make a new composition, and I'm just going to make this my standard 1920 by 1080, 23976, whatever my frame rate happened to be. That's most likely what you're working in. I'll call this split screen. I'm going to show you two ways to do this. So in this case, let's say this was my my project that I did all the effects on. This was the demo of just the snow falling. And here's my original footage. And this could, I'm in this case doing this just for a particular clip, but the process would be exactly the same if I was working with the whole sequence. So I've got this here. I'll put in my original footage. Just drop that in as a layer. And in this case, my composition size is smaller than my layer, so I'm just going to have to shrink this down to fit. So now it's the same size, but I'm going to do a split screen here, so I'm actually going to need to shrink it down even further. And depending on my aspect ratio, 25% might work. If in that case, I'm probably going to end up with my frames like right next to each other. If these were a little wider, so for instance, if I was like matting the top and bottom of this, then I could get away with kind of doing 25%. I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit more. I'll say 23. Give myself a little wiggle room. So put that over here. I don't really care if you do side by side, so one here, or top and bottom, whatever works better for you. I happen to like personally doing a sort of top and bottom thing. Okay, so now I have a couple other options for how I'm showing the rest of this. So if I've already output my finished movie, which is one of the things you'll have to do to turn in these assignments, my actual easiest way to get this in would be just import the file, find wherever that is that I have the finished version exported. In this case, it's this file right here. And I could throw that in and do the same thing. Check this down. Put it over here. And now I have both of those. Let's say that perhaps I hadn't already output that, and I was just doing my split screen from scratch. So let's turn that off there. And both of these, I should mention, will give you exactly the same result. The advantage of this is it's not having to render any effects or anything again. It's literally just having to scale this down and output it again. So this will be a much faster export. But if I hadn't already done that, that's fine. I can go to my composition, remember this, where I'd actually done all the effects, and I'll take that whole composition, just bring that in here as a layer, and do the same thing. I'm going to shrink it down, and move this around wherever I need it to be. Now, the one nice thing about this is because it's referencing the composition, if at some point I realize I screwed something up, I have to go back here and make some changes to my composition, I could just output this again and it'll have all those changes made in it. If instead I'd used this one I already output, that's great. That'll save me having to re-render it again here. But if I find out that I screwed something up, I'll have to go re-output my original sequence or effect and then bring that new file in here if I want to replace this. So advantages and disadvantages to both. In this case, let's say I'm just using the composition. Okay, so now I've got the two here, and then the only thing left to do would be to label what effects I've put in. We've talked about doing titles in Photoshop or Illustrator as another option. In this case, since this is a really simple composition, I'm not doing anything fancy with the text. It's probably going to be easier for me to just put a little text layer in here and say added snow. select all, and let's just shrink that down to a more manageable size. And move that layer over here. And then just make sure that layer was for the length of whatever I wanted. So let's say I had a couple different effects in here. I could put this for the first part of it, and then maybe there was a different effect that I did at this latter part. And I could add some text again and say, put in a mask to remove background object. I didn't in this case do that, but let's just pretend that there was something there that I had done. Put that there and move that layer to where I want it to be. If I hit Option bracket, I can shorten a layer to exactly what I want. Let's say I want to start there, Option left bracket. And so now I have my split screen with the two shots and different titles showing what I did at each point. And that's all there is to it. Then I would add it to the render queue, export it, and I've got my finished split screen version.